Throughout history, there have been many things that have revolutionized the world we live in, including things such as the internet, automobiles, and even a black president. Whether or not you were directly involved in any of these particular things, we can all agree they've had a major impact on our life. My name is Chris Britton, and I'm here to tell you that there is another revolution starting to happen, and whether you believe it or not, marijuana is going to impact your life. I'd like to take a look at marijuana and give you a better understanding of what this plant really is and why you should vote to legalize it in the upcoming election. Immediately when you hear the word marijuana, I assume that some of you have a predisposed association with some things, and that's okay, you're not alone. Let's take a look at some of the most commonly misunderstood things about marijuana. According to Poindexter 2014, the most commonly misunderstood thing about marijuana is that people believe it's the most dangerous drug out. If you look right here, you can see that tobacco kills 435,000 people annually. Prescription drugs around 32,000, aspirin 7,600, peanuts 100, and marijuana currently 0. So as of right now, that means that marijuana is less dangerous than peanuts. The second misconception is that people believe that marijuana is highly addictive. In a study done by Poindexter in 2014, 24% of the population was dependent on tobacco, 9% on alcohol, and 2 to 3% on marijuana from the population that was in the study. The third myth is that marijuana is worse on your lungs than cigarettes. As you can see right here, this is some of the ingredients in a joint versus in a cigarette. In a joint, you've got paper, cannabis, kush, and weed, which are all natural substances. And in a cigarette, you have butane, which is in lighter fluid, nicotine, which is associated with the insecticides, and methanol, which is found in rocket fuel. Let's look at some of the more positive things that come out of marijuana. Right off the bat, let's look at some of the health benefits that are associated with marijuana. Marijuana has been known to help epilepsy, Alzheimer's, sleep apnea, and chronic pain. Another benefit from marijuana is a huge economic benefit. For example, some of the states that have already legalized have seen huge economic growth. Colorado, for example, had 18,000 new jobs and $2.4 billion in economic activity in their first year, which was 2015, according to Ingram. The legalization of marijuana would also reduce incarceration rates. Marijuana is a topic that is everywhere and isn't going away anytime soon. According to the National Institute of Health, marijuana is one of the most commonly used drugs. The percentage of the population using marijuana doubled from 2005 to 2015. Incarceration rates last year alone were higher for people caught with marijuana than those arrested for murder, rape, and assault and battery combined. An increase in the number of medical uses that are found with marijuana is just going to lead to a rise in the increase for demand for the product as a whole. Going back to incarceration rates, because they're so high, we're currently leaving a generation of kids growing up without one or both parents due to incarceration, which is leading to lower academic achievements and a higher level of poverty with the loss of income. From an economic standpoint, the cost of incarceration, such as in taxes, is very high. And there's millions that are coming out of jail branded as felons, causing them to be unable to get a job. There's also millions of people needlessly suffering to get the medicine that they need because marijuana is currently illegal. This is causing families to either split or uproot their current lives to move to states where marijuana is legal. It's time to change the way that people think about marijuana and work towards getting it legalized. This process starts by providing people with better sources of information, such as providing seminars and other ways of gaining information to give a better idea of the positive effects that marijuana can have on our day-to-day problems. This would debunk some myths and stereotypes associated with marijuana, and this solution can be mixed into social media sites that we've already got, as well as by hosting presentations at major areas such as college campuses. From there, we would slowly want to start removing restrictions on marijuana to test the effects and give people an idea of some of the positive benefits that would come from getting marijuana legalized. This would allow for people on the fence to kind of have an idea of what they're getting themselves into. This would also grant people access to medicine that they've needed in states that didn't usually have it legalized. This would also give us a sample of the economic potential found in marijuana. From there, we would want a government reduction of marijuana regulations and punishments for a limited amount of time leading up to a vote. This would be like a beta test on a major scale, countrywide, to see some of the effects. That we would keep vigorous records on incarceration rates as well as economic growth and compare them to the previous year before marijuana was legalized. Ultimately, we'd come to a vote on the decision to make marijuana legal countrywide. If the vote passed, then you could expect to see a boost in our economy, which would help things such as education to continue to be funded. This would drop incarceration rates dramatically, as well as the current number of prisoners currently in jail. This would allow for kids in our country to have access to better education that doesn't include teacher walkouts or underfunded programs. This would keep people who don't deserve jail out of a cell and coming home to their families every night, and not reaping the consequences of being labeled a felon. We would see visual decreases in other crimes such as rape, murder, assault and battery, with newly allocated time for police, since they're no longer wasting their time on such a minor issue as marijuana. If the vote did not pass, then states would continue to struggle to find funds necessary for things such as education. Government officials would continue to waste time on minor issues instead of using their time to solve more necessary and important issues. We would continue to see a struggle for very necessary medicine because of strict regulation. This would be basically a continuation of the path that we're on right now, with us digging ourselves into more debt annually. We could see a continual increase in incarceration rates for a minor drug, with no decrease in other crime rates such as murder. We would see a significant decrease in public education across the country, especially in areas such as funding and teacher salary. I just want to remind you that marijuana is a topic that isn't going away anytime soon, and I really urge you to do your research before you believe everything that you hear and really get an idea of what it is that you're voting for, because this decision will affect you one way or another. The change starts right now. It's up to us to make a change in our current system and get this revolutionary plant legalized. Just remember that your vote could change the life of someone battling daily seizures and give them a life that they didn't think was possible.